Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me for Midweek Momentum. I'm your host, Marty Fonke, and I appreciate you joining me. We've got a pretty cool topic today, and I'll be sharing that with you for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we're going to get right into Q&A or strategy time. So please use that time as we're talking about today's tactic to formulate any questions you have, business problems that you might be dealing with that we might be able to help you with, strategic discussions, or anything along those lines. And if you do have a question ready when the time comes to open up the lines, you'll either submit your question via the question feature on the using text on your control panel, or you can raise your hand using the raise hand button, and I will call on you and open up your line, and you'll be able to ask me directly. So be thinking about what we can help you with today on Midweek Momentum. All right, so today's topic is how to do anthology marketing to drive traffic and revenue to your website. So first, let's take a look at what is an anthology. And the definition from dictionary.com is it's a book or other collection of selected writings by various authors, usually in the same literary form of the same period and same subject. Or the simple one, number two, is a collection of selected writings by one author. We are going to focus on the definition number one, which is a collection of writings by various authors. Now, I was first really exposed to the concept of anthologies when I was exposed to Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I've done some work with the co-authors of Chicken Soup for the Soul, both Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield. And when I started to understand exactly the power of anthologies in books, I really started to understand how you could use that in other places. So the way Chicken Soup for the Soul books work is they take, in this case, this is the original Chicken Soup for the Soul book right here, 101 stories to open the heart and rekindle the spirit. That means that this book has 101 different authors. So Mark and Jack are able to write a book that's a best-selling book, and they didn't write the book. They had the book written by other people. Now, the cool part about that, actually there's several cool parts about it. One is, obviously, they wrote a book that they didn't actually have to write. They just assembled it, and they did each write a story in there, so technically they had 99 other people write the book for them. But also, all of the other people who are featured in the book promote the book because they're in it. So they're going out and saying, hey, I'm in a Chicken Soup for the Soul book. You've got to buy this book. And so they have 99 other people to go out and help them sell and market and promote the book. And so I learned about this way, way back in the decade ago when Chicken Soup for the Soul first came out. And a few years ago, I experimented with the same kind of concept of writing an anthology article for the magazine that I write for, which is Electronic Retailer Magazine. And I did an article called 15 Under 30, which was 15 of the top internet marketing tips that you can execute in 30 minutes or less. And I actually invited 500 people to submit their tips, and I selected the best 15. And of the 15 people who were included in the piece, those people obviously were very happy to be featured in a nationally distributed print magazine, and so they obviously were out promoting the magazine and promoting the article, and it became one of the top viewed articles that I've ever written. And in preparing for today's Midweek Momentum call, I was inspired to do that again. So I'm actually going to take my own advice and do a similar article just like this and get ready to write that soon. So if you're interested in being part of an article, great marketing tips in 30 minutes or less, be sure and contact me because I would love to have you be part of it. So I took the anthology theme and wrote some articles, and I've used it a few other times, but this is an example of one of the very first times I've ever used it, and this was back in 2007. And recently, in the last couple of weeks, I was approached to write a tip by Carol Roth, who has a very successful blog, and it was called 55 Ways to Use LinkedIn to Grow Your Business. And this is an anthology blog post. So I showed you an example of an anthology book. I showed you an example of an Anthology article, and this is an Anthology blog post. And this is the one that we're really kind of focused on today, because this is all about online marketing, how to drive traffic to your website, and how to make money from that traffic that you're driving there. So let me dissect this blog post a little bit and break it down and tell you what I learned about it. And this just came out yesterday, by the way. So I'm always trying to give you really, really fresh content and really new ideas when you come on the Midweek Momentum webinar. So the first thing we see is that it's 55 ways to use LinkedIn to grow your business. And each tip is submitted by a different expert. And you can see that they have the expert's picture, their tip, their name, and a link to their website. Now, I happen to be way down here at number 37. So I'm expert number 37 out of the 55. And that's a pretty cool thing. And so obviously everybody who is on this blog post went out and said, hey, I was featured on a blog post, and they spread it out to their social networks, and I saw tweets about it, and I saw Facebook posts about it, and certainly saw lots of LinkedIn posts about it. So instantly, if Carol Roth had written an article called 55 Ways to Use LinkedIn to Grow Your Business by herself, she would have had to come up with all 55 ways, and she would have had 55 fewer people out there spreading the word about this post. So notice right here it says 72 tweets. So since yesterday, this article has been tweeted 72 times. And who knows how many times it's been retweeted from there. That's pretty good. And then another number that's pretty cool is if you go to the bottom and you can like it on Facebook, which when somebody likes it on Facebook, it instantly posts it to their profile and increases the traffic to it. So look at this. It was liked 117 times. So 117 on Facebook and 72 on Twitter. It doesn't tell you how many times it was posted to LinkedIn, which is unfortunate because I suspect that number's higher than both of those two combined, because this is, after all, a blog post about LinkedIn. But it gives you some idea of the kind of traffic and the kind of viral nature that you can have if you do an Anthology blog post. Just for further example, if you look at some of Carol's other blog posts, here's one from earlier in the week. It's only been tweeted 6 times, and this is one that she wrote herself, and it's been liked 1 time. Here's the next one. Now this is a guest post that she had somebody else write, but again, it's just one other person. It got tweeted 11 times, and it's been liked 0 times. And then the last one we'll look at got tweeted 26 times and liked 4 times. So you can see that 72 tweets and 117 likes is substantially more viral distribution for this blog post than she normally gets on her blog. And what's the reason? Because she's got 55 people out there who are helping to spread the word, just like I'm showing this article to you right now. And it's at carolroth.com, and you can go to her blog and read this article. It is very good. I did read it, and I'm really impressed with some of the tips that are on there, and going to start using some of them myself. So what does that mean for you and your business? Well, if you have a blog, can you write an Anthology article? Can you get 8 or 10 or 20 or 55 other people to submit ideas or tips or strategies so that you can create a really cool post that they will all then drive traffic to? What about an ebook? Now, if you have an ebook and you use that as part of your strategy for marketing, you could do an ebook that contains experts just like this and create a really cool ebook, give it away for free, and offer it to all of your experts who you feature in the ebook that they can give it away for free as well. Now, what should be in the ebook? Well, obviously, it should be a call to action back to your website or back to your product offering. So what if you had a website that was about, and I see you on the line, Kirk, and you just barely signed up, so I'm going to give you a little free exposure here. So what if you had a website about ATV riding snowmobiles and ATVs in the mountains? And Kirk, if you'll send me your website using the little chat feature, I'll post it on the screen so everybody can see it. So if you had a website about ATV riding, what if you created an ebook that was the top 15 places to go snowmobiling, or the top 10 places to go ride your ATV? And what if you invited guest experts to submit their places and their reasons why those are the top, and you featured them in that ebook, but in the ebook it contained links back to your website and back to your offers so that you could bring the traffic back to your audience. So you can do a blog post, you can do a magazine article, you can do an article on e-zine articles that is an anthology, you can do an ebook that is an anthology, and as we learned from Chicken Soup for the Soul, you can even do a physical printed book that is an anthology. All of that leverages the efforts of other people, and they're grateful to be included in that because, you know, what if you can be featured in a book and all you have to do is write one little section of it but not the entire book? So everybody wins. You generate traffic, they generate exposure, you have content that you don't have to write, which leverages your time and energy. They have expertise that they want to share but don't have the distribution channel, and the consumer wins because they're getting a lot of great information from a multitude of experts, and so they win as well. Now, how do you find 55 people to write an article or blog post for you? How did Carol Roth do it for this article, and how did I do it for the magazine article? Well, it used to be a lot more difficult to make that work. You had to know that many people, or you had to ask friends of friends for referrals and say, hey, who do you know? How can I, who can I ask? And it was pretty difficult. But there's a couple of new tools that are out that will help you find those experts really quick. The Carol Roth blog post came from Reporter Connection. And Reporter Connection is a way for experts in any category, in any niche, to connect with journalists who are looking for experts in that category. Now, in this case, the term journalist is a little bit loose. The original intent of Reporter Connection, as you would guess by the name, is to is to help journalists who are in television, magazine, newspaper, et cetera, connect with experts. But the journalist vernacular is a little bit loose. So if you have a well-read blog, you qualify. If you have a podcast, you qualify. Yes, some of the experts you're going to hear about right here on Midweek Momentum are going to come from sources just like Reporter Connection, because I'll be posting a call for experts and vetting them through the process and then inviting them on to teach you what they know. And even though I'm not a quote-unquote reporter, although I do write for a couple of magazines, in this particular case, I'm just looking for experts to interview, and they will be clamoring to be on this webinar. So some of the experts you'll be hearing about, that's where they will come from. This is where the Carol Roth post came from. I got an email that said, we need LinkedIn experts. Well, I happen to be a LinkedIn expert, and so I looked at what they were looking for. I submitted a tip, and boom, I'm featured in an article that's getting massive traffic, lots of exposure, and it contains a link back to my blog, which brings me traffic and exposure and eventually new business. So Reporter Connection is one resource. And the other resource, which is the original resource for, excuse me, it's not the original, but it's the original free resource for sources and reporters to connect, is called helpareporter.com, or actually it was Help a Reporter Out, which is why it's called HARO, H-A-R-O. But the out has been dropped in the domain, and it's just called helpareporter.com. Full disclosure, Help a Reporter is a client of mine. Peter Schenkman is the manager of this business. He was the owner, but he sold the company to Focus not too long ago. However, even though they're a client, if they weren't a client, I would still recommend Help a Reporter and Reporter Connection to you both, because they are excellent, excellent sources of getting publicity. If you are an expert, you will find radio shows, television shows, newspapers and magazines who are looking for your area of expertise. And on the flip side, if you have a blog, or if you're a writer for a magazine, or if you have a podcast, or any other source of media distribution, and you're looking for experts, whether you want to do an interview or whether you want to do anthology tips, submissions, or anything else, both Help a Reporter and Reporter Connection are great resources for you, and they are both free. Love them, love them, love them, and they've brought me and my clients both a really amazing amount of exposure and business and revenue. So check them out. Now I'm doing the same strategy with an event that I have coming up here very soon. In about 5 weeks, I'm speaking at a conference called Think Big, and I'll be sharing the stage with Bill Rancic, who was the very first winner of The Apprentice, if you remember him. And he won the very first job that Donald Trump ever gave away, and he was running, I believe he ran a great big, the Trump Tower in Chicago was the first project that he was assigned. So I'm doing a presentation called From Aha to Cha-Ching, 5 Simple Ways to Monetize Your Idea Online and on TV. And I thought I would use an anthology strategy to craft the content, because I know what I know about that topic, and I could speak on it, but I want to see what other people have to say and get some fresh new ideas that I hadn't thought about. So I've opened it up on my blog. If you go to martyfonke.com, so just go to martyfonke.com, and on my blog you can submit your tip, and you can win one of 2 different ways. I'm going to have a drawing for everybody that submits a tip, and if you win the drawing, you win tickets to the Think Big event. And that's a $458 value. It is held here in Kansas City, where I'm located. If you're local, great. If you're not, fly in for the event. It is well worth it. And Kansas City is right smack dab in the middle of the country. It's a 2-hour flight from either coast. And if you win the tickets, come on in and check it out. It's a pretty cool event. But what if you don't win the tickets, or what if you don't want to win the tickets? You can still win another way, because everybody who submits a tip is going to be featured in, you guessed it, an anthology blog post that I'm going to write after this is all said and done, and I'm going to feature you in my presentation with your name, your tip, and your URL in the presentation, and there will probably be between 100 and 150 people in that room who are some of the top investment bankers, venture capital, and entrepreneurs from all over the Midwest. So it will lead you to big exposure. So all you got to do is submit a great tip on how to monetize your idea. Submit it right here on the blog at martyfonke.com, and I will make sure that you are well compensated for it with either free tickets to the event or free exposure for your website. Fair enough? All right, so at this time, that wraps up the anthology marketing strategy tip that I had for today.